What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope y'all have had a great Thursday as we're getting to the end of our work week and working our way to the weekend. I'm going to dive in this video and really break down what is going on next week. We've been talking about it on and off for a few videos for the last several days as far as a big-time cold front. Now I'm starting to see the potential for a big-time storm system. And I'm talking snow too. Certain areas in the interior northeast could definitely see some snow, and some areas in the mountains of North Carolina and Virginia, Virginia also, but North Carolina and Tennessee, as far south as them folks, could also see some snow off a possible northwest flow event. So we're going to dive a little bit into that, and we're not going to get super detailed because we're about a week out, about 7 to 8 days out before we really know for sure this is going to happen. But a pretty solid agreement that it looks like some mountain snow will fall, some of the first snows of the year for a lot of folks. And this looks like a big-time weather system that will bring in some very cold air and the first frost and freeze for a lot of folks. So we're going to really break that down, dive deep into that. If you guys have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, like the video. And thank you always for the amazing support. I feel like I'm forgetting to tell you guys something, but I can't think of it. So let's get the rolling here. And so what we're going to look at here is the temperatures off the GFS. We're going to show that first, roll through the European, and take a look at some other things too that I'm excited to show you guys, because we're starting to get deeper into the colder months, or more into the colder months, and we get to talk about some snow now. And so here we go. So we're starting off Friday morning. This cutoff low, upper trough, whatever you want to call it, upper low, so like a bowling ball, a piece of energy that really brings back in chillier air. A lot of folks in the south, and everybody's going to wake up to some chilly temperatures. The only areas that aren't going to be very chilly is the far eastern areas, the Carolinas and Virginia, where you wake up into the 60s, 50s, where the basically the upper level low is not pivoted in yet, if you will. And this continues to move. Tomorrow could be quite a chilly day, especially if you're in Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi. Normally when you have an upper level low right on top of you, it can really bring very dry air. It can bring in very cool temperatures, cloudy on and off showers, and this thing's really going to be centered over the mid-south and deep south tomorrow. So I really think even areas of the Carolinas are going to be very chilly. Even here where I'm at in Columbia, South Carolina, I don't think highs are going to get out the low 60s tomorrow under pretty much overcast clouds. Tomorrow is going to be your classic really your classic fall type day, kind of cloudy, overcast, and cool with a nice breeze. I want to mention right now, I know we were talking about the severe weather, but we still have some rain moving over into the Carolinas and South Carolina. If there is going to be any kind of severe weather threat, it's going to probably be in around in this, well, that's a little bit too far, but probably around in this area right in here, as basically a moist sector surges ahead. But I really think the chances of severe weather have dropped. But we could get a spin up around the coastal areas of South Carolina later today, later this evening and tonight. So we'll continue to watch that. But we get to rolling here in time, and we're getting into Saturday. I expect another chilly day across the deep south of football weather. This is definitely going to be football type weather across the entire eastern U.S. Kind of coolish, overcast in certain areas. As we get into the weekend, Sunday, we finally get our sunshine back. We'll wake up to chilly temperatures across the entire eastern U.S. And then for our Halloween, absolutely beautiful day. I don't really expect any kind of moisture anywhere. Highs will reach back into the 60s and 70s in the southern areas. Basically the mid-Atlantic points north into basically the northeast, 50s, 60s for high temperatures. And a beautiful day. I really expect it to be really a beautiful Halloween. No really warm temperatures, no really cold temperatures, so a really good day. As we get into next week, though, and I'll start to move through this a little bit faster. This video is going to drag on for 3 days. A very seasonal week for your first week in November. But if you look here, there's some very cold temperatures. So if you're in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, big time widespread freeze, low temperatures dropping well into the 20s, cold air coming out of Canada. So Tuesday morning, very chilly temperatures across the upper Midwest. that really is setting the tone for winter to come. As we're getting into Tuesday afternoon, you notice this big time boundary. This is a massive boundary where you got temperatures in the 70s, maybe a tick above average temperature wise for these areas, but still very dry air. And then you got very cool temperatures just north. Big tight cutoff boundary here for sure. But then we get into Wednesday, and very cold temperatures up here, freezes and everything like that. And then the boundary sags a little bit more south, according to the GFS. So it looks like we get into our Thursday, and then chillier temperatures as we get into Thursday morning begin to drift a little bit more south. And then looks like the only area left with relatively warm temperatures as far as high temperatures maybe a week out from now, and this is going to bounce back and forth, it's the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida, and parts of Alabama. But what we're watching here is this is a big time cold front. This is going to continue to inch southeast, and then next weekend could really be a chilly weekend, a cold weekend, and I think a lot of areas are going to see their first widespread frost and freezes who have not seen it yet. For instance, this is saying for next Saturday morning, look at these cold temperatures getting all the way into the south, and the mountains look very cold. I will actually be in the mountains in Gatlinburg not this weekend, but next weekend. So I'm actually hoping for it to be cold. Obviously I like going to the mountains when it's cold. I feel like I wouldn't want to go to the mountains in the fall and it'd be 80 degrees. It really wouldn't feel like the season, if you will. But cold weather, you look at the European, I'm trying to make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Look at the European, same situation. You're getting into next week, and you're seeing this cooler air sag south. This is Monday afternoon. This is Tuesday afternoon. So on the Euro, it hasn't really sagged much more south, but you get into Wednesday morning, and look at these cold temperatures in the Midwest and the northern Midwest and the Ohio Valley. Widespread frost and freezes in the Ohio Valley as we get into our couple of days here into November. Still very comfortable in the south, but it's starting to get really chilly in the northeast and the mid-Atlantic. And then this boundary begins to sag, and we get into Thursday morning, and the cooler temperatures begin to get further and further south. And just like the GFS, you have this little sector Friday where it's pretty warm, but this cold air is coming as you get into next weekend. And then just a chilly weekend ahead. And then, you look at next Sunday morning, it's very far out, it's, 10 days out. Looks like a very chilly morning as far south as even central areas of Florida. A lot of time to kind of figure this out. If we look at the European ensembles, the EPS, you notice here comes at the signal for very cold temperatures across the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. And it's wanting to signal a lot of this coldest air to the west, but the ensembles and the operational models really aren't agreeing with each other completely right now. But as we get into the weekend, this much colder than average temperatures, which is signal right here. These are temperature anomalies, which are temperatures compared to average. You're seeing these greens, things like that. That's anywhere from 5 to 6 degrees below average for this time frame. And it looks to really remain all the way through first 10 days of November. And it's showing up here. It's the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. This runs from the 3rd to the 7th of November, signaling below average temperatures. In fact, really no one's above average except the far tip area of Florida. And really everyone either looks around normal or looks below average. When you look at the 5 to 11th period, November 5th through the 11th, below average temperatures persist. Through the entire eastern U.S. In fact, the much more cooler than average temperatures shift a little bit further southeast. So we're looking at precipitation now, and we're not going to get super deep into this, but I do want to show you, along with this cold front, there's a chance for a big-time storm system. And, we're getting into about midweek next week, and here it comes. Here's this storm system. Where it comes, it's obviously going to be a cutter. Cutter means, and I'll talk about this a lot during the winter, means that basically you don't have this jet stream pushed farther enough south for a low pressure to ride down here. So instead, with this cold front that's still kind of sagging south, the jet stream's still kind of right around in here. So low pressures are going to ride around that jet stream. So you're going to have moisture that's north of Georgia, the Carolinas, and Alabama. And unless you continue to get low pressures to ride this jet stream as it continues to sag south, with the southeast push of the cold front. But you see this decent high pressure sinking down, bringing in some much colder temperatures. And you look here, this is a nice low pressure that's throwing a lot of moisture in here. And you look at areas like the mountainous areas of West Virginia, higher elevations of Pennsylvania, and the interior Northeast and New England area getting wet snow as we get into Thursday morning next week. And we'll have to watch. It's not cold enough to get snow for areas along the coastal cities like New York City to Boston, nothing like that. But as this system kind of pulls out, has the potential to kick up a northwest flow event, which is basically energy kind of left behind, if you will. And it might get the lake effect snow bands going in the Great Lakes region in this area, and then some snow showing up in the mountainous areas of Virginia, West Virginia. The Great Smoky Mountains is always definitely a hard hit area when these bands really get going here. And this normally happens basically when the colder air kind of comes in behind after a main storm system that already pushes off the coast. And this is kind of what happens here. We'll talk a lot about this here in the coming months. But kind of the same situation with the European, except the European is a little bit more aggressive with that snow, a little bit more south. Shows a big time storm system along that cold front. This is even showing snow in the panhandle of Oklahoma, areas of Missouri, the Ozarks, the Ozark Mountains in Arkansas. It's showing the snow showing up here in West Virginia. This moves through, shows snow as far south, a wintry mix as far south as Tennessee and the plateau of Tennessee. And then this moves through, still very warm system on the European. But look in the backside as cold air tries to pull in behind this system. He's showing a lot of widespread snow showing up in Pennsylvania, even Ohio. So there's a lot to figure out with this. I think this is going to be a dynamic system. But as the system pulls away and cold air kind of sags down, northwest flow piece of energy kicks up. And, check out the snow showing up in the mountains of North Carolina and Virginia and Tennessee. So it's going to be interesting to watch for sure. We'll get a little bit closer look off the European of the southeast, because obviously snow in the southeast is a little bit more rare. But look at the snow that shows up here in the mountains of basically North Carolina and Tennessee here and Virginia as we're getting overnight Saturday night into overnight Friday night into Saturday morning. So it'll be interesting to watch this. Some areas can pick up a quick inch or two of snow in these higher elevations like Roan Mountain and the Great Smoky Mountains, places like that. And then maybe another system tries to sneak in here. But you notice this system is much more south. Is because the cold front is suppressing any energy to the Gulf of Mexico. So we'll watch. As far as the EPS, we'll go about 240 hours out. And this is the European EPS ensembles. And a pretty stout signal for the first accumulating snow in the interior higher elevations of New England, the Northeast. And then check it out in West Virginia. Check it out all the way into the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. There's even a signal in central Tennessee and maybe some snow. I doubt that's going to happen, but we'll have to watch. And then we look basically at the GEFS ensembles. And it's not quite as aggressive, but there's a signal for snow there. So we got to watch this. I'm not talking about a widespread snowstorm for areas outside the mountains, but the first flakes of the season are looking likely for those northwest facing slopes that really could get hit by some of the first flakes of the year. So we'll watch this cold start in November. We'll continue to talk about this because I think this storm system coming up the end of next week is going to be a storm system a lot of people talk about. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Sorry about the low energy in this video. It's really tired tonight, so I'm going to get some rest and be a little bit more upbeat for y'all on y'all's Friday night tomorrow. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. God bless all y'all, and thank y'all for the support.